Now, this year, a park in honor of former statesman Nelson Mandela will be opened to mark the 9th anniversary of his death, which is on Monday, the 5th of December. The Nelson Mandela Foundation and the Joburg City Parks and Zoo have partnered to create a space in Rivoli in Johannesburg to advance environmental justice and food security. Well, to tell us all about their plans in commemorating the 9th anniversary of the passing of Madiba, I'm joined in the studio by the head of Department of Mandela Day at the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Gushwell Brooks. Gushwell, good afternoon. Welcome to today. Thank you for coming in to the studio this afternoon.
An absolute pleasure. Good afternoon to you.
I was talking to somebody this morning about this anniversary of the passing of Madiba, and they said to me, I can't believe it's been 9 years.
It's actually unbelievable. I mean, it feels like it was just yesterday that we received very tragic news. I think you know the story that I was unfortunately on air at the time that it happened. I mean, looking back at it nearly a decade later, this is where we find ourselves.
Yeah, so what are the plans for Monday before we talk about why the park? What are you planning for Monday?
Look, I think the park in itself is integral to it, because I think if we understand Rivoli as a community, in fact, was just there yesterday. It's a community that's burdened by high levels of socioeconomic inequality, high levels of unemployment and poverty. And obviously with that we see many other social ills, including obviously a massive issue around drugs, around crime, violent crime in particular. And the issue is that, you know, we really need to start looking for long-term sustainable solutions within communities. And, you know, there's this beautiful park along Yekske and Gamka roads within Rivoli. It's a stunning space, but, you know, to what extent is the community able to use it? To what extent are young people able to use it? And, you know, we need to see greater, greener spaces within the community, apart from obviously the work that we will be doing with home-based gardens as well as the food gardens.
So you're hoping that the park will then be put to good use by the community, like become a safe space of sorts for even for children?
Exactly. And you know, the thing is, I think that we all understand what is the you know, the benefit of having trees. I mean, you have a very beautiful view here at your TV studios, and it's nothing but green with buildings littered in between. And let's be quite frank, many of our communities, unfortunately, do not have that privilege.
Okay. In addition to greening this community, I don't know how many trees you're planning to plant on Monday, you'll tell us. What else are you hoping to do, or are you planning to do as a foundation for the Rivoli community?
So the important thing is that we understand that there's an intersection between climate change or climate action as well as food insecurity. We know for a fact that with the ongoing weather that we've had, it's very interesting. In some instances we have severe drought, in other instances we have severe flooding. It's very difficult for you to grow food under those circumstances. Apart from that, I think that our project over the last year, or since at least Mandela Day this year, focusing on community gardens as well as home-based gardens, is giving people the opportunity to feed themselves. We know that we have, again, a massive issue with economic inequality as well as poverty and
the cost of living has gone very high.
Very much, very much. We're struggling. And this gives people an opportunity to grow food within their communities or even within their
homes. So it's going to be both home-based gardens and a community garden?
And 2 sites that we've identified for community gardens, which we will start capacitating as of next year. That's obviously with our partnership along with Joburg City Parks and Zoo, as you had mentioned, as well as the Gauteng Department of Rural Development and Agriculture.
So you've got a number of partners who are helping with it. I mean, when you think of Madiba's legacy and you think of this activity, you want to try and find where the intersection is. What's the foundation? What encouraged you as a foundation to go this route for this 9th anniversary?
Ultimately, I think that, you know, in as much as Madiba is seen as a savior of society, especially for us as South Africans that came and saved us, it was ultimately also through our own action. There was you know, numerous people, whether it be political action, whether it be through the labor movement, whether it be through civil society, that participated in our, you know, the very liberation that we're sharing in today. And ultimately, it's up to communities to carry that flag. So it's not just up to an organization, an individual, or whoever to help liberate us, but it's really up to us as individuals.
Yeah. In the past, you've done dialogues around this time, I think, as the foundation, in honor of Madiba's legacy and on critical social issues. This time you're talking about action. Is this Rivali initiative part of a bigger campaign in terms of greening by the foundation?
Most certainly. Look, I think going back to Mandela Day itself, in fact, the launch of Mandela Day in May, all the way through to this point now, the Nelson Mandela Foundation has been consistent around the theme of the impact of global climate change, which we've seen impacting us in real terms in April 2022 this year with the flooding in KwaZulu-Natal. Apart from that, the impact that it has on food security, particularly taking into account, going back all the way from the COVID-19 lockdown all the way to this point, where we're seeing people struggling to be able to eat. So it's an ongoing theme, and the annual lecture itself that was delivered, of course, by Her Excellency Mia Mottley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, specifically focusing on global climate change and the impact that it has on the global south. So I think ultimately we can see that that theme is running through all the way, and now we're bringing it to a community. And yes, the dialogue continues because that dialogue happens within that community.
So this is an addition to, you said you were at Rivali yesterday.
Yes.
It's a suburb just south of Johannesburg. It's not far from the FNB Stadium, the soccer city. It's nestled around that area of the southern part of Johannesburg. Is there an appreciation of by the community of the importance of such an initiative? I'm asking this because sometimes when you mention the terms climate change, we all shut down. We think it's something that's still coming in the future. It's far away, but meanwhile we are living every day through its impact.
The beauty of it was yesterday when we were there, the preparations for Monday was being done by community members. People were actively participating. We met members of the community, both at the school as well as at the community center, which also houses a nursery school. So the amazing thing is to see that level of community participation, obviously also imparting on the community the need for this to be sustainable, because ultimately we come in, we capacitate, and then we leave. We will come back, obviously, for monitoring and evaluation, but ultimately the actual work is done by the community themselves.
Yeah, are they beginning to connect the dots? Climate change thing that they hear in the news and real-life challenges around food security, for example?
I think one of the fundamental things that we want to do, both through our dialogue and advocacy team, as well as us as the Mandela Day team within the Nelson Mandela Foundation, is to have this as a conversation for everyone to participate in, that it's not in air-conditioned conference centers in the global north, but that this is ultimately something that everyone is aware of and everyone is speaking about, and more specifically taking mitigating action against.
Okay, it's the 9th anniversary, of Madiba's passing, and that's coming Monday, the 5th of December. What other activities are you planning as a foundation? You've mentioned that dialogues is ongoing,
Sure.
But now you're doing this park initiative for the people of Rivali.
Well, on the 11th of December, and thanks for asking that, on the 11th of December, we will actually have the Nelson Mandela Remembrance Walk and Run. That will be in Pretoria, so it starts at the Union Buildings and ends at the Union Buildings along Government Road, with three distances depending on people's capacity. I know that you're quite the avid walker, so I'm anticipating that you'll do the 21 kilometers, but there's the 5, the 10, as well as the 21 kilometers. And people simply just have to go to either the Nelson Mandela website itself, Nelson Mandela Foundation website itself, alternatively mandalawalkandrun.com.
Okay, that's on the 11th.
On the 11th of December.
Meanwhile, we're focusing on Monday. Well, is this open to the public in Rivali, besides the community?
By all means, all please come through and participate in the day. It is at the Rivali Park, sort of where Gamka as well as Yekske roads intersect. And I think it's going to be a beautiful event.
Gushwell, thank you very much for coming through. I know you're a very busy guy. That's Gushwell Brooks. He heads the Mandela Day department at the Nelson Mandela Foundation, just giving us some details about their plans for Monday to commemorate the 9th anniversary of the passing of Madiba.